Hey everybody, it's Stan, aka Vim Lassus, and today we're back with another review here at Vim's Toy Box. Now today we're going to be taking a look at the Star Wars Akazane Royal Guard in the Samurai from Tamashii Nations and Bandai. Now I love these figures. I think these are one of the best lines out there, and I've tried to grab all of them basically. I've had this guy for a while now. He's just been sitting over here in my pile of toys to be looked at. And I'm like, oh man, I really want to get him out of the box and take a look at him. But so much other stuff has come up. But today is the day I finally get to take him out of the box and see what he's all about. If his quality is anything near what any of the other ones already are, and then I know he's going to be fantastic. These guys are pretty damn awesome, and in this samurai line it should be really cool. So on the side you see we get this cool promotional shot artwork. Yeah, either way, on the front we get the promotional shot, and it says Star Wars, the Akazane Royal Guard, movie realization from Tamashii Nations and Bandai. On the side it says his name with the Disney logo, and on the back we get some cool promotional shots, kind of showing you everything else that he has. The molding, he's movable, and he has option parts. Woohoo! So anyway, let's get this guy out of the box and take a look and see what we got. And here he is, all out of the box, and oh my god, he's amazing. I don't know why I waited this long to get him out. He's Bandai and Tamashii Nations really has stepped up their line of excellence with this whole figure line, this samurai wave. The only one I haven't liked so far is the Spider-Man. And that's mainly just because of the paint and some of the articulation in the Spider-Man figure. But any of these Star Wars guys, man, these things look absolutely amazing. And this guy is no exception. The details, the paint, the sculpting, oh man, everything is there on him. And he just looks phenomenal. So let's take a closer look at him and see what's really going on. It might be too much for me to cover all at once, but hopefully we'll get through it all because he's badass. All right, let's take a closer look. All right, taking a look at the details. Man, there's a lot to go over on this guy. Pretty cool. If you've ever held one of these or seen one of these, you will know what I'm talking about when I'm saying level of detail, because it is just phenomenal on these guys. First off, let's take a look at these kind of capes, robes, so to speak. This front piece is really kind of cool. It's a little flimsy. It does have two holes in here that's supposed to keep it from moving around, but I find that mine just moves around quite a bit. Maybe I'm not pegging it in correctly. But either way, I think it looks really cool when it's sitting on him like that. Now that will hinder his articulation, but when he's just in the standing pose, which, you know, let's be honest, that's what the Royal Guards did. They just kind of stood there. They look pretty damn cool. So let's pop this one off. As you see, it's just got these two little pegs there, and then he's got the two little holes in his chest. But taking a look at this front cape, that's done very nicely. They got some really nice sculpted, wrinkles in here. These, whatever these are, I don't know, but they look cool, and they've got a great paint wash on here, a dirt wash on here. So really kind of brings out the details, which I'm glad they did, because character in all red would be, a lot of these details would get washed out. So I'm glad they did that. So that looks really cool. And then on the back, same kind of level of detail in here. I like on the bottom how it's kind of all torn up. So it looks like they've been doing something, even though in the movies we didn't see him doing much of anything. Maybe it's just from walking and they kind of drag around on the ground. But either way, looks great. Same nice sculpted wrinkles. Great dirt wash in here, so it really kind of brings out all that detail. And again, this just, that one's a little tighter. That one just pegs in. It's got the one peg there, but you see, that looks really nice. So these two together look great. All right, so then you may be going, well, but dummy, if you take that front piece off, now you got this huge hole in his chest with two other holes in it. They figured that part out, and what they did was they gave you this little front cap piece, which has the same two little pegs on it. So if you want to display them without that, you just kind of take this, plop that in there, and that sits in there nice and flush, and that looks fantastic. It kind of helps tie it all together when you don't want to put them in half. You want to put them in some action poses, which obviously you can't do with that front piece on. So that looks really, really good and kind of keeps in line with the other stormtroopers, the samurai stormtroopers that they have. They all kind of have these kind of logos on the chest. So, but looking at these details, man, look at this. Look at that. Can you guys see that? Just these lines in the sculpt and the paint, man, they're just absolutely amazing. Everywhere on him. You know, even on these arms, they got these great, really tiny, little sculpted wrinkles in there. Just look kick-ass. Everywhere on him. Now, apparently somebody over there in Bandai Tamashii Nations loves the color purple. If you remember back to the Spider-Man that they did, he was almost all in purple, which for him didn't work, because I've never seen a Spider-Man in purple before, and it just looked way off. But on him, I understand why they did it, to kind of help break up the all red. So I don't mind it too much on here. You know, they got these little bits of purple in here, and, you know, on these cloth pieces that kind of hold all this armor together. So it's not overbearing, and, you know, when you have this on here, you're really not going to see it much at all. So it doesn't bother me, but somebody over there is a huge fan of purple. But the paint is phenomenal, and the sculpting detail is great. I mean, look at this. Man, everything about these is just spot on perfect. This face, I can't get over how cool this looks. The original Royal Guards with just a whole piece that kind of went over looked pretty mean, but this guy, man, he looks even meaner, and he's got this nice black, you know, visor going on. And just everything about these is spot on. This cool little canister. You can even see on there he's got some nice little sculpted details. Just everywhere throughout this is spot on. And that's why this is my favorite line of all time. I love the samurai line. Man, these things are just phenomenal. So the details are just everywhere, and it's again one of those figures that every time you pick them up, you're going to see something new. You're going to see something that you did not see before, and that's awesome. I mean, that just really makes you want to keep taking them out and looking at them and displaying them. Every time you walk by them, or you go to take a picture of them, you go, oh shit, I didn't see that. That's pretty awesome. So the level of details is phenomenal, what we've come to expect from Bandai and this line. So, man, that's just a thing of beauty right there. Pure beauty. Alright, let's take a look at the articulation. Now for the articulation, I'm going to do it without these front pieces on, because like I said, this on the front is seriously going to hinder the articulation in the waist. So you won't be getting a lot of action poses with this on. And on the back as well, because it is pretty solid. You see it doesn't bend too much, so you're not going to be able to get them in, and it will just kind of stick out like that. So we're going to keep those off, knowing that the limitations are going to be there with these on for the articulation. So we'll go over it without those on there. So in the head, I think what they did here was brilliant. These Royal Guards, you know, they've got these huge headpieces that kind of go down over the shoulders and over the front and over the back. So you would think you wouldn't get a lot of head movement on here, but what they did was they lifted it up a little so you get some clearance. But what they also did was, if you can see in here, let me move that out of the way, they kind of made this cut right in the middle, and then this piece goes down. So this way you can put the head in a little to get some movement, and pull the head back to get a little bit of movement. Now, you're not getting great movement out of it, obviously, but I thought that was a pretty genius idea to do that, so that way you can get, you know, some movement, although it is pretty limited, but at least you can get some. You do get some pretty good head pivot, and of course it does turn pretty much all the way. Now, if you were to take this and just kind of pop it over, you could get the head around even further. So the head movement, not bad considering what he's wearing. Down to the shoulders, the arms do go all the way around. They kind of go up and down. Now these pieces are on their own little ball joint in there, so these can move independently. So once you've got the arms positioned, you can kind of put these wherever you need them to kind of cover up and hide that joint in there. He does have a little bit of upper arm rotation. That whole peg kind of joints around in there, followed by a double jointed elbow, which gets you up to about there. There's not much swivel, no lower arm rotation, and the wrists do spin around, and they can either go in and out this way or up and down that way, depending on which way you put the hands on. Now the waist articulation, this to me is the weakest point in this entire line, and I understand why they do it, because they want to keep the body sculpt as clean as possible, so they don't put the cut in here, you know, for like an abdomen crunch or whatever. They really just have that one single ball joint in there. Ugh. And it does kind of hinder their articulation. Some figures more than others. Now this guy's not too bad. He can actually crunch forward quite a bit, but you do see you will get a big gap back here, and you can go back, not great. And again, you will start getting some gaps in here, and he does get very little side to side, but he does rotate. But this is better than I've seen on some of these, so you know, can't complain too much. I do wish they would figure out a way to get some better waist articulation and still keep it looking pretty clean. Come on, Bandai, I know you can do it. Down in the legs, they do not have the drop down feature, but these pieces all do kind of move and get out of the way to help with the articulation, so it can kick forward about that far. You can kick back, not too much. There is a little bit of upper leg rotation, and that's all on that ball joint back there, followed by a double jointed knee, which gets you up to there. There is no lower boot cut, but he does see he gets a little bit of swivel up here at the kneecap instead of down here that we've seen sometimes. On the foot, he can lift them up that much, can go down that much, and not much in the way of ankle pivot, but none of these guys really have ankle pivot. But you can get these guys in some really cool poses with the articulation. The only limitation really being here at the waist, but his is actually better than a lot of the other ones I have. So for articulation, pretty decent job, and the engineering behind this and whoever thought of this is, again, pure genius. And that guy deserves a raise. Now, as far as accessories go, we know this is Bandai. We know they're going to come with quite a bit, and this guy is no exception. So let's start with the hands. He does come with the two fisted hands for punching people or just standing there looking mean as hell. So he comes with these two fisted hands. He comes with two sword holding hands, which has the opening for the sword. Now all these have the same great level of detail on here. Nice paint wash again to break everything up. A little bit of purple going on like as in these little tie straps that go around, but these look great. And then he's got the two open palmish hands, and these are to either just a relaxed look or to hold his staff, which we will take a look at in a second. He does come with his sword and sheath, so the sword fits in there nicely, and the sword's got some pretty nice details going on here in the handle. It's got this nice blue wrap going on it. Again, just some great paint and sculpt on this, so that looks great. My only complaint with these is, and this is on all the samurai lines, is they do all this fantastic work with the figure and the other accessories and everything. And, you know, all the swords, the weapons, hands, all that looks great. But then you get to these sheaths, and these are just plain plastic, and they look plastic. It's like they ran out of paint and money or whatever, and they said, we'll just toss on one of these plain ones just so the sword has something to go into. But there's never any detail on here. So if I got to find a gripe, that's probably going to be my one and only gripe on him. But like I said, that's across the line. That's not just on this guy. So he does have that, and then he also has his staff. Now this staff looks cool as shit, man. It's got some great gold paint on here, some nice sculpting details. I love these little antenna-like, kind of looks like a car antenna, right? Yeah, whatever. But he's got some great details sculpted in here. Now these, like I said, do just kind of You open up these loose hands and that ball sits in there perfectly, just like that, for him to hold it, rest it against his shoulder, and do whatever. So great job on that, and this looks really, really nice. So for accessories, that's what it comes with, but he also, you know, comes with the cape and the front piece, and then the little black piece on the front of them when you're not have this on it. So pretty good job of accessories. Less hands than what we're used to, but I think that's just because of these pieces. Alright, and as far as comparisons go, here he is standing next to two others from the Samurai line. We have the version 1 Darth Vader, and we have the aforementioned Spider-Man, which is so you can see their heights are all about the same, so they do a really good job of keeping their guys to scale, pretty much. So they all look fantastic together standing on a shelf, so they do a really good job of that. So I think this comparison is a really good one. And here he is standing next to two of the Stormtroopers. Well, one of the Stormtroopers and the Sam Trooper from the same line. And again, you see the heights are pretty spot on the same. So none are too big, none are too small, and they all look great. And here he is standing next to your standard 6-inch line of Marvel Legends and Black Series. As you see, he's a little bit taller. These tend to run more in the 7-inch scale. So unfortunately, they do not scale in with these guys, which is a shame, because it'd be awesome to have some cool photos and scenes with the regular Star Wars guys, with these Samurai guys, or your Marvel Legends with these guys. It would look fantastic, but unfortunately, their scale's a little bit taller. Alright, so my final thoughts on this guy are cool as hell. They look awesome. Articulation is great. The sculpting, the paint, just everything is phenomenal. If you're a fan of this line, you should definitely have at least one of these guys. I'd like to get two because, you know, these guys are always in twos, standing around the Emperor. But for now, one will work, and I'm glad I have him. I'm glad I finally got him out of the box after having him sitting in my pile of toys for a while now, a couple months. So he looks great. If you see him, run out and get him, because do not hesitate. You will not be sorry. Everything is phenomenal and looks fantastic. So there you have it. There is the Tamashii Nations and Bandai Samurai Royal Guard, and I give it a thumbs up. So if you like this review, go ahead and hit that like button down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you for the next review. Peace.